for health care. We worry about people driving in a car without seatbelts. We don't want people like Musk building rockets to send people to the moon without making sure that they protect the people that are going to be in the first couple of rockets. We had some bad experiences, with people blowing up a few minutes in, right? Not a good thing, So theoretically, morality improves, which means it changes, which means uncertitude towards morality is actually the only way to think if you want progress to happen. Maybe this isn't really the best thing we can do. Maybe someday we'll be able to do something better, right? So maybe it's not really that moral.
I feel like it really just depends on the person. Like, I feel like a lot of people are morally not getting any better.
And we elect them to high
shown.
office.
Huh?
And we elect them to high office.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're more like lobbied and bought, but
Morals are relative, though, to the ends just.
Well, that's not consequence.
The means justify the ends.
This
in a
is-
sense.
These folks are consequentialists. Consequences. In fact, the issue for a consequentialist, a utilitarian, the greatest good for the greatest number, which was what Voldemort and Grindelwald, if you follow the J.K. Rowling series, right? It was evil in Britain, right? But it's also utilitarian. The greatest good for the greatest number, we think of that as British morality, right? And kind of a version of pragmatism, which is an American view of morality. But if you think this way, the consequences are so important. It's okay to do immoral things in order to accomplish the greater good. So maybe these 100 black men who have syphilis don't need to be treated so that we can experiment on them and see the progress of the disease. We just won't tell them. We'll give them medicine.
Or assassinating
Really
Hitler.
won't placebo, right? Won't really help them. Medical science does this.
Tuskegee. They
I feel
weren't
like
the
they're
only
doing
ones.
that right
Put
now.
horrible things in the eyes of rabbits to see what it does.
You hear about beagles?
What are the eagles doing?
You hear about what's going on with beagles?
Beagles.
The dogs? Yeah.
What are they doing to beagles?
Beagles, so there's been dog testing, right?
Yes.
They were testing mites on beagles, seeing how they eat away at the beagle's face. It's disgusting, awful practice, right? Well, they found that they removed their vocal cords, so they couldn't
So they
scream
couldn't-
anymore. Yeah,
Clorox and Lysol also tests on
Why?
people.
Why didn't they just?
disgusting.
Why didn't they just test it on children instead? Why pick on
More
beautiful
that's
dogs?
like
Oh,
something
I'm
unique.
sorry. Did I suggest something even worse?
People value.
Beagles are the only thing that's more annoying than children, though.
Wow.
They do it on
That's
Chihuahuas.
crazy.
Dude, have you ever been around a beagle? Oh my god.
Ask a fox hunter in England, though. I mean, they're the best dogs in the world.
I had a big old lab mix dog, worse than a husky.
That's funny. No, dude. Huskies are great.
Crazy energy.
Well, some of what we're getting into. By the way, let me fill this in. I put David Hume over here because even though David Hume is such a skeptic, he's a communitarian. We can put community. Just another word for we, really. And what David Hume argues is morality is part of the way your community has become, and different communities, he's well aware that there's different communities with different ethics. And so you grow up believing the community ethics you grew up in, and this person grows up in a community that believes different ethics, and as a result, when you get into arguments, you could use logic back and forth, but you're not going to persuade that person to change their basic intuitions, their moral intuitions, which come from being raised in a particular community. As a result, David Hume famously says that reason is the slave of the passions. I'm passionate about this because that's the way my parents raised me. I'm passionate about this because that's the way my parents raised me. We can argue with one another till the cows come home. Do the cows ever come home? I've seen them. They do come home. But in any case,
Smell it, they get turned into meat.
eventually. However, so you have the we over here, and so there's different communities with different values. So Kant imposing, what value is Kant trying to impose on people? The one that he grew up in his community, which happened to be a Puritan community, and he thought, well, he never left Königsberg. His whole 80 years, he never left further than 3 miles, apparently, from Königsberg.
Seems to be typical of the German mindset.
So of course, people think this way. It's a moral imperative. We all are Puritans and grew up this way. No, Kant, you're wrong. And the next generation and the generation after that absolutely knew it. And as a result, Kant's concepts, even though we've got psychology still actively pursuing what structures the mind and how we perceive things, added a totally new dimension based on your community, and that is on language. How does language
Those be called the structuralists.
I think the structuralists are primarily concerned about how the structure of language imposes meaning. But I don't think that they're primarily focused on French. I don't remember them even getting into English. I think it was a French movement. It impacted sociology. It's not big anymore. We do have Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky clearly got into a part of this argument by arguing that all human languages have recursion. We talked about that a little bit. Remember recursion? Look it up. Did you mean recursion? But he also argues that, this is Noam Chomsky, that we have a universal grammar. It's a basic human universal grammar. And that argument is actively still being pursued. You've got this, I think I might have long ago mentioned this. This is a terrific 15-minute video. I think I might have even shown it a little bit just to try to get you interested. But you can also talk about relativity. Linguistic. We've got 7,000 languages, says Lara, and each of the languages is structured and structures our minds somewhat differently, and as a result, the way we perceive the world seems to be structured differently based on our language. And of course, the language is embedded in a culture, and the culture is an ethnos, whatever. So you've got ethnic differences. It leads, in a sense, to, I think when we talked about Aristotle, I put Aristotle over here. And this is eudaimonia, is the individual flourishing. Your focus is on the self, on the I. I remember Aristotle thought you, of course, are embedded in a community. You need to be a good person. You need a good family and a good community, a good polis, etc. But at the same time, flourishing is focused on the self for Aristotle. And remember, I think I mentioned when I talked about that Alistair MacIntyre, who just recently died as a philosopher, argues that that's the most pertinent ethical theory for Americans because of our contemporary situation. And our contemporary situation results from us having been raised in America, probably going to a public high school where they're not allowed to teach you religion in public high school, but they do teach you a religion. It's a state religion. Trying to think of, can't think of the author I want.
North Korea, where he's the god.
Well, I'll go back to Mill. Mill, who we'll be talking about after Hegel, is an atheist, grows up to be an atheist, but at the same time believes that religion is important for the community. We see this in a contemporary situation as well. I mentioned Miroslav Volf and his book Enlightenment. Was it? Yeah. No. Forget Miroslav Volf's title. Flourishing. Mentioned that. Flourishing. Why we need religion. Because individuals need a meta-narrative. Otherwise, you feel absolutely desperate. Why should I get up this morning? Everything is going to shit anyway. Why put up with it? That's common. A lot of folks feel that way. And a lot of folks actually have lots of reasons for feeling that way. But I mean, compared to, the foxhole, the guy in the foxhole that is fighting for freedom, for democracy, against tyranny, against the fascists, he stays there and he fights to the last bullet, etc. The other guy who's right next to him that doesn't believe in any of that shit, he's trying to figure out, how the hell am I getting out of here? I'll surrender, I'll run, I'll hide. Not fighting at all, right? Basically. Unless maybe it'll help me get away, right? So you're comparing the individuals in Foxhole, they're exact same situations, both freezing to death, both out of ammunition almost, both out of food, both totally believing that there's no chance of backup coming to rescue them, to stop the enemy. The one is going to keep fighting and the other one is trying to get the hell out of there. The only difference between the two of them is their mental belief and why they're there. Person that believes they're fighting for democracy, etc., they have a mission and they believe it and they're going to continue to be there for that mission. That's why in the military, when you're in basic training, they try to inculcate all of those missions, right? And that teamwork. You're not, what really helps individuals in battle is not thinking about all of those things back home. You're concerned about the life of your fellow team members, right? So they say. Right? I was never in that situation, except in, like training situations.
No, now they just kind of just tell you to do exactly what your higher ups do, no matter if it's right or wrong, which is like, yeah, I was in the Navy, it was bad.
So hop in a jet plane and fly over crowds
Yeah,
of
like-
Americans and shit on them?
Yeah, no, for real.
Except the jets don't really shit, so.
Yeah, but like, if somebody told somebody to figure out how to do it, they would probably do it. They're too scared because they're gonna get an Article 92, but nobody really realizes like it's only a lawful order. But there's so much gray area between like what is a lawful order